Good morning and welcome to Daily Cyber Briefing for Friday, the 17th of January. I'm Stephen Ridgway. You might have missed it, but DORA comes into force as of today, I believe. Yeah, as of today. So DORA, for the uninitiated, is the Digital Operational Resilience Act, and it's a European Union act that aims to improve the security of the financial sector's it aims to improve the financial sector's defences against cyber threats and operational risks. Various aspects to it. By now, I suspect if you are actually impacted directly by this, you will be well aware and will have spent a great deal of time preparing for this. There are enhanced reporting requirements. There are various aspects, lots of different aspects to this. So yeah, if you work in the financial services and you're doing business with entities in the European Union, you'll undoubtedly you will be aware of this. However, for the rest of us, something to bear in mind is that some of these requirements go beyond financial institutions themselves. There are increased requirements for financial institutions to understand how their security is being managed, including third-party suppliers. So it may well be that your customers, if you're on the supplier side, your customers now may be asking more of you than they were before. If this has slipped you by, recommend rapidly reading up on this. And making sure that you are not going to get caught out by any of these changes. This is a fairly substantial upgrade to probably the most important upgrade to cyber legislation in the European Union since GDPR. So they are in force as of today. You heard it last here, or something like that. Okay, now if we go back a little while, we were talking about changes to the the time for the validity of certificates. And there is, in fact, a movement towards reducing how long certificates will be valid. Now, I think mostly in this sense, we are talking about SSL TLS certificates, but we may well end up sweeping up into that all sorts of other certificates as well. People still tends to be a lack of clarity around what people mean by use of certificates and PKI. They can be used and they are used in all sorts of things. Most people are only really aware outside of cyber. I think most people are only really aware about the fact that you need to check for a padlock kind of thing. It's the assumption being they're all to do with websites. Well, I can't remember all the ins and outs of the arguments about for shortening certificate validity, reducing the expiry times for certificates. However, very short certificates were being discussed. Go back through previous notes and come across it all. Anyway, Let's Encrypt has unveiled 6-day certificates and increased IP options as options when you are creating certificates through Let's Encrypt. Now that's I think, regardless of whether shorter length certificates is a good thing or a bad thing, um, you now have the opportunity to test what happens if you are using certificates that are generated in a way which looks like it may be the future. Now, something to bear in mind with 6-day certificates will not incorporate online certificate status protocol or certificate revocation list URLs, which basically, this is going to kind of get messy here, isn't it? Firstly, that means if you have not got automated certificate management processes in place, you are putting your solutions at a much higher risk of disruption from a end user or customer perspective. So if you are going to go for these short certificates, they don't have some of these other features, which, yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? So certificate revocation lists, I think, is an area that never really worked properly, in my opinion, for PKI, because they weren't mandatory. So if and but people know this without thinking about this. If you browse to a website which has got an out-of-date certificate, let's say, it comes back saying, "This is an out-of-date certificate. Do you want to accept it?" Okay, now your browser might have built-in protections that say we won't let you accept it, but you can almost always turn those off, or move to a different browser or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of emphasis on the client side and decisions made by the user around whether you do or don't accept an invalid certificate. Well, the concept of using so in the SSL TLS securing websites arena, that's probably less important. Yes, you could theoretically invalidate or cancel a certificate and it will go onto a revocation list, but it's kind of up to the browser. Do they even bother looking? It's not mandated in the RFC for PKI. So what happens if you revoke a certificate has always been a bit iffy at the best of times. Oh, it looks like they've just given up on the whole idea for short lengths certificates. But that does mean that then there is no method by which you can inform the world that a certificate's been compromised. It just remains valid until it rolls over in 6 days. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. I'm not sure. There may be more to this that I haven't got my head around yet. However, it is definitely something that we need to have a think about, especially if you're using short validity certificates for things other than just securing a website. Interesting article on GB Hackers, links out to lots of other stuff, including some information from Let's Encrypt around this. Definitely, if you're thinking about what to do in this space, it's worth testing some of these things. If you haven't got automated certificate management in place, you will need to have a serious think about that before anybody in the industry ends up mandating short certificates for whatever reason. Okay, and then finally from me today, we have discussed at great length over the last year how, if at all, is it possible to secure AI? AI Yeah, AI has the potential to be exceedingly useful. Some aspects of it are already exceedingly useful. The number of people using chat GPTs or other LLMs in order to assist with writing documents, getting opinions on things, blah blah blah, whatever it might be, has increased massively. There's a much greater awareness of this stuff, and it is very powerful. It can be very useful. In parallel with that, there have been a whole load of events around the what can I get it to do that it shouldn't be able to do, and lots of discussions around guardrails and potential bypasses to guardrails. Well, Microsoft has, unsurprisingly, has spent quite a lot of time looking into how it will be possible to secure AI, and the answer is that Microsoft eggheads say AI can never be made secure. And that's based around their testing of their own products and others as well. Now, okay, that's on the face of it makes a very good headline. But I think the truth of the matter is that that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. And when push comes to shove, no systems can ever be made completely secure. We're all aware of this. I mean, there's an entire industry, and I'm in it, around trying to keep on top of things that are they may be secure today, but they won't be secure tomorrow, kind of thing. So, and it's just inevitable because there are people behind this who've got strong motivations for doing, undertaking nefarious acts, and they are going to keep on finding ways to subvert whatever controls are in place. It is unsurprising that will be going on with AI. I think, though, what is perhaps a little more concerning is that AI has massive functionality compared to pre-AI systems, but our ability to control it is significantly more limited, and our understanding of the threats against it and the threats it may then subsequently raise with us, as users or whatever it may be. So I think the whole arena is remarkably immature. We've got a lot to learn, but we're learning with a system which is not, as it were, a dumb system anymore. It's a system that will take information it's got and reuse that information in other ways. So why does this matter? Well, I don't think we can take our eyes off the fact that AI security of AI is probably one of the most important areas that nobody's paying quite enough attention to at the moment. From the can you get it to write malware through to can you teach it things that are not true? Well, both, all of these things, yes, you can. I think the last time I saw a half decent research paper on it, something in the region of 20% of facts that LLMs come up with, they've just made up. It's probably improved since then. That was a year or so ago, but there's an awful lot in this arena that you've got to be very careful about. And Microsoft, I think, hats off to them for admitting that there isn't going to be a point where we can go, right, done it, it's secure now. It's all okay. Don't worry about it. Forget it. You can just go ahead and use this stuff. No problems at all. Certainly one to think about. Anyway, that's all from me for today, and that's all from me for this week. Hope you have a good weekend, and I'll speak to you all again on Monday morning.